Hello viewers, I am Zach Hardy with the Wrestle Target, and sad news to report here out of pro wrestling. Roman Reigns, I guess now former Universal Champion, opened up Raw earlier tonight, pretty much just about a half hour ago. Absolutely by no means within any sort of wrestling character, no gear on, not even being really referred to as Roman, and not even referring to himself as Roman, walked down to the ring to open up Raw and state that he has to end up leaving WWE for the time being. Not like leaving WWE as a whole, but taking significant time off and dropping the Universal Championship to fight a battle with leukemia, or cancer, that he has been re-diagnosed with. I guess he had battled it for a number of years before WWE and before pro wrestling, and I never even knew that to begin with. But right off the bat, you could kind of see that once he was walking down, it was quite somber. It was definitely out of character. It was like most weeks you see like the big dog persona, but this time you didn't really get it. You saw kind of like an inordinate amount of not sincerity, but of like a sulk kind of thing, kind of like a case of just like you could tell it was like a bad aura surrounding what was about to happen, and for him to drop that bombshell was just kind of heart-wrenching. I don't even really know what to say. I think when it comes down to it, most of us really tend to know a lot of the people we see on TV, and we associate with characters. We see them as that character. We don't tend to see them as their self. You know, I don't think Joseph Anoa'i is Roman Reigns in real life, but based off of how many people see him as one versus the other, I think a lot of people, or at least the vast majority of people, tend to see him as Roman Reigns compared to Joe Anoa'i. And that sucks, because then when it comes down to whatever environment you're in, it doesn't matter whether it's a company where you're working with a performer or you're being put into specific situations or places on the match card, we tend to associate that with that person. We tend to associate Roman Reigns as Joe Anoa'i, not Roman Reigns as a subsection of Joe Anoa'i, but we tend to look at Roman Reigns as Joe Anoa'i. And I don't think we tend to look at everything that's going on with the wrestler deeper than just their character. We kind of stop at the character. And when it comes down to Roman Reigns and Joe Anoa'i and that whole character on screen, we tend to look at booking and direction and championships and pushes before the internal affairs of a human being. And I think not only do fans do that, but wrestlers do that, but people involved in the companies do that, and it's such a sad situation to be in. And it's very telling for the fact that Roman Reigns, I don't even know what to call him now, walked down to the ring, and I think people kind of understood right off the bat exactly, you know, what was kind of happening. It didn't look like he was going to come down as Roman Reigns. He looked more genuine than just a wrestling character or a wrestling personality. And he walked into the ring, and I think a lot of people kind of caught on to the fact that this wasn't your regular wrestling promo right off the bat before something was said. And then once he stated that, you know, he had battled leukemia before, you could kind of see where this road was turning. And once the road turned into the distinct direction, it was just crushed hearts and spirits. For years, we've kind of attributed Joe Anoa'i and Roman Reigns as this over-pushed character, or this guy booked, you know, to beat everybody and rise to the stratosphere, despite the fact that that's not the person. And I think we get too caught up in that sometimes, and these kind of things kind of bring us back down to earth. And it warms my heart to see everybody in the arena in support of Roman Reigns, because it's kind of a case where, you know, in specific situations you think, oh, this could never happen because the response would be different, you know. And I think a lot of people would say, if you hadn't known about Roman Reigns' battle with cancer or anything along those lines, I'm sure like a month ago you probably would have jokingly said that, oh, I don't think he could say that he had cancer and people would start cheering. I think they'd start, still continue to boo him. Like, that's like the impact that a character has on an audience compared to it, rather than it being a mask that person puts on to play a character. We just attribute that character as the person. And so it warms my heart to see people break away from that and show support for Roman Reigns as Joe Anoa'i, and not just Roman Reigns. Put aside the booking, put aside the pushes, the complaints, and the just overwhelming like hatred for the character itself, and break past that, push that aside, and show support for the individual human being. And this is just such a tragic situation to be in. I don't remember the last time, if there was any time really in wrestling in which a person as significant as Joe Anoa'i and Roman Reigns were put on the shelf for something so out of left field and heartbreaking. And I think we all as people notice how big cancer is and how big of a deal it is and how harsh it is, but I think we tend to also look at the characters, like I've been saying, in a different light from reality, and we think that that these characters, the Roman Reigns character, and the Dean Ambrose, and the Seth Rollins, and the Maja Gettas, and the Bobby Lashleys, and the EC3s, these are characters that can't be harmed or harshed by these cruel realities. But in reality, while they aren't harshed or brought down or beaten down by these harsh realities, the people behind those characters are. And I think this is kind of like a wake-up call in which we kind of look further than just the character. And my full support goes to Roman Reigns and his family during this hard time. I can guarantee you this is not going to be an easy road. And it takes a lot of balls to be able to go out in front of everybody and say, hey, listen, I've got cancer. I wanted to be able to do this for every single one of you, but sadly the situation that I'm in now can't afford me the opportunity to do so. But I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to do so to begin with. Whether you booed me or cheered me, you gave me the opportunity to do what I loved. You gave me the opportunity to have a life, and I thank you for that. And I will come back better than ever, and my support just goes out completely to him. He's one badass, strong motherfucker that I guarantee you will be able to show back up when he comes back down to the ring and rip heads off, and everybody will cheer, because that's God, just a bad situation. But you see the heart in Roman and in Joe. You see his heart, you see his faith, his will to fight through it, and my condolences go out to him. And my hopes and my heart and my thoughts go out to him and his family and his loved ones and friends. Get well soon. I hope to see you back soon. And I hope for a speedy recovery. That's really one of the best things you can ask for. Just a really, really tough situation, and a really kind of like humbling experience as a wrestling fan to kind of be viewing this, because I think as wrestling fans we just look at a character and we rip ourselves from the reality that this is a character and not a person, or not the person. That's a better way of phrasing it. I think we rip ourselves away from that reality and we go that cancer or violence or tragedy this character is immune from. And to an extent, yeah, the character is immune from that, but the person playing the character is not. And I think this is one of those experiences in which we kind of see that, not only first and foremost, but I think we push past that boundary to the point where we don't just look at the performer and at the individual as the individual, but we feel like a sense of connection towards them and with them and in this fight. And as I said before, as a wrestler, I've seen the booking process go out, and I've seen characters be harbored and succeed with specific booking directions, and sometimes the crowd doesn't like those booking directions, and sometimes they love those booking directions. But it warms my heart to see the crowd be able to push past those indifferences and those disagreements with the way somebody has been portrayed in a character, or the way that person has portrayed that character, and really connect with the individual from the start, the individual behind that character. So to be able to see that actually happen, and not just be something that you kind of think about in the back of your mind, for them to actually see that individual as the individual, not the character, and to be brought back down to earth, and in probably one of the best ways you can do so, where it's not based off the circumstance, but based off of the fact that you realize that there's a human underneath that character, makes me very hopeful for the wrestling audience, that a lot of people sometimes kind of assume is just dead in the water, like not worth the effort. And this shows that they are, and this shows that they feel that compassion, and they feel that emotion towards that individual, and this individual in particular is going to kick cancer's ass. And so with that, thank you, Roman, for everything that you have done and for everything that you will continue to do, and thank you for staying in there and fighting through thick and thin. You are one hell of a warrior, and I look forward to seeing you back in front of the audience and in front of our television screens as soon as possible. Get well soon, buddy. With that, I'm Zach Hardy, signing off.